what's up everyone, this is Ajol and today we are going to talk about class changes for druids in Shadowlands pre-patch. First, let's start with some general class changes for druids. For example, Lunar Strike has been renamed back to Starfire. Solar Wrath has been renamed back to Wrath. All druids can now use the following abilities. Ferocious Bite, finishing move that causes physical damage per combo point and consumes up to 25 additional energy to increase damage by up to 100%. And of course it requires cat form. Bark Skin, your skin becomes as tough as bark, reducing all damage you take by 20% and preventing damage from delaying your spell casts. Lasts 12 seconds, usable in all crowd control effects and in all shapeshift forms. Cyclone, no longer a PvP talent, tosses the enemy target into the air, disorienting them but making them invulnerable for up to 6 seconds. Only one target can be affected by your cyclone at a time. Stampeding Roar, shift into bear form and let loose a wild roar, increasing the movement speed of all friendly players within 20 yards by 60% for 8 seconds. Iron Fur increases your armor for 7 seconds, and Wrath hurls a ball of energy at the target, dealing nature damage. Swipe is now capped at 5 targets. Now let's move on to talents. The following talents have been adjusted. New talent Heart of the Wild replaces Typhoon. Abilities associated with chosen affinity are substantially empowered for 45 seconds. For balance, damage of your balance ability is increased by 30% and Star Surge is instant. Nice. For Feral, damage of your Feral ability is increased by 30% and critical strikes with attacks that generate a combo point generate an additional combo point. And for Guardian affinity, Bear Form gives an additional 20% stamina, multiple uses of Iron Fur may overlap, and Frenzy Regeneration has 2 charges. And for Restoration affinity, healing of your restoration spells increased by 30% and mana cost reduced by 50%. Mighty Bash now stuns the target for 4 seconds, was 5 seconds, and has a 1 minute cooldown, was 50 seconds before. New abilities have been added for their respective affinities. For Balance affinity we have Typhoon, for Feral affinity we have Maim, for Guardian affinity we have Incapacitating Roar, and for Restoration affinity we have Ursol's Vortex. As for PvP talent changes, for all classes we no longer have Gladiator's Medallion, Adaptation or Relentless. We now have to purchase trinkets to benefit from those effects. Cyclone is no longer a talent and learned by all druids at level 48. Now let's move on to Restoration Specialization. Iron Bark now has a 1.5 minute cooldown. It was 1 minute. The target skin becomes as tough as bark, reducing damage taken by 20% for 12 seconds. Swift Mend cooldown is now 15 seconds. It was 25 seconds before. Costs 11% mana. It was 14% before. And consumes an active regrowth, wild growth, rejuvenation or germination healing over time effect to instantly heal an ally. Innervate's duration has been reduced to 10 seconds and it no longer has a global cooldown, finally. The following talents have been adjusted. New talent Nourish replaces Prosperity, heals a friendly target for 135% spell power, costs 15% mana, 2 second cast time, and receives triple bonus from Mastery Harmony. This looks interesting. New talent Overgrowth replaces Stone Bark, no longer a PvP talent. Applies Life Bloom, Rejuvenation, Wild Growth, Regrowth, Heal over time effects to an ally. Now has a 1 minute cooldown, it was 45 seconds before. Also, Stone Bark is no longer a talent and its increased healing effect will be learned once again in Shadowlands at level 56. As for PvP talent changes, Encroaching Vines has been redesigned and renamed High Winds. Cyclone leaves the target reeling, reducing their damage by 25% for 4 seconds. Nourish has been removed and Revitalize has been renamed to Reactive Resin. Now moving on to Balance Specialization. New Mastery, Total Eclipse. Solar Eclipse increases nature damage by 11% and Lunar Eclipse increases arcane damage by 11%. I have 28% because of my mastery from gear. Eclipse passive has been redesigned and works with Balance Affinity talent. Casting 2 Starfires empowers Wrath for 15 seconds. Casting 2 Wrath empowers Starfire for 15 seconds. These eclipses occur in alternation. Eclipse Solar, Wrath cast time reduced by 15% and damage increased by 20%. Eclipse Lunar, Starfire cast time reduced by 15% and increases the critical strike chance of Starfire by 20%. Star Surge now increases the damage bonus to Wrath and Starfire for the duration of the eclipse and costs 30 astral power, it was 40 before. Celestial Alignment maintains both eclipses and grants 10% haste for 20 seconds. Starfall now has a 40-yard radius around the caster and moves with the caster for the duration, avoiding targets not in combat. Starfall damage increased substantially. Nice. Shooting Stars is no longer a talent and learned by all balanced druids at level 49. Shooting Stars now generates 3 astral power, it was 4 before, and the proc chance has been increased by 50%. Moonfire and Sunfire now generate 2 astral power, it was 3 before. Wrath now generates 6 astral power, it was 8 before. Starfire now generates 8 astral power, it was 12 before. Celestial Alignment and Incarnation Chosen of Elune no longer have a global cooldown. Innervate's duration has been reduced to 10 seconds and it no longer has a global cooldown, we read this before. The following talents have been adjusted. New talent Solstice replaces Shooting Stars. During the first 6 seconds of every eclipse, Shooting Stars fall 300% more often. Nature's Balance now generates 1 astral power every 2 seconds while in combat, it was 2 astral power every 3 seconds before. Soul of the Forest redesigned, Eclipse increases Wrath's astral power generation by 50% and increases Starfire's damage to all other enemies by 150%. Wow. Star-Lord now grants a 4% haste for 15 seconds, was 3% haste for 20 seconds. Incarnation Chosen of Elune now grants the benefits of Celestial Alignment and 10% critical strike. Stellar Drift now increases Starfall's duration by 2 seconds and damage by 15% and allows you to cast while moving while it is active. Fury of Elune deals reduced damage on secondary targets. As for PvP talent changes, Prickling Thorns now causes Entangling Roots to deal damage every 3 seconds instead of damage upon removal. Moon and Stars radius increased to 5 yards, it was 3 yards before. Incarnation Chosen of Elune summons a beam of light at your location, granting you 70% reduction in silence and interrupts for 10 seconds. Moving on to Feral Specialization, Survival Instincts now has only 1 charge, it had 2 charges before. Rake deals 60% increased damage while stealthed, it was 100% before. Shred now deals 60% increased damage while stealthed, it was 30% before. Berserk has been redesigned. Go Berserk for 20 seconds, causing Rake and Shred to deal damage as though you were stealthed, and giving finishing moves a 20% chance per combo point spent to refund 1 combo point. Berserk and Incarnation King of the Jungle no longer have a global cooldown. The following talents have been adjusted. Sabertooth now extends Rip by 1 second, it was 4 seconds before. Incarnation King of the Jungle now grants the benefit of Berserk, reduces the energy cost of all cat form abilities by 20% and allows the use of Prowl once while in combat. Blood Talents has been redesigned. when you use 3 different combo point generating abilities within 4 seconds, the damage of your next 2 rips or ferocious bites is increased by 30%. And Brutal Slash is now capped at 5 targets. And no changes for PvP talents. Moving on to the final specialization, Guardian. New ability, go berserk for 15 seconds, reducing the cooldowns of Mangle, Thrash, Growl and Frenzied Regeneration by 50% and the cost of Iron Fur by 50%, 3-minute cooldown. New ability, Infected Wounds, Mangle and Maul slow the target's movement speed by 50% for 12 seconds. Incapacitating Roar now shifts you into bear form when used. Berserk no longer has a global cooldown. The following talents have been adjusted. New talent Renewal replaces Ursol's Vortex, instantly heals you for 30% of maximum health. New talent Tooth and Claw replaces Lunar Beam. Auto attacks have a 20% chance to empower Maul, stacking up to 2. Empowered Mauls deal 40% increased damage and reduce the target's damage to you by 15% for 6 seconds. Incarnation Guardian of Ursok has been redesigned. An improved bear form that grants the benefits of Berserk, causes Mangle to hit up to 3 targets and increases maximum health by 30%, and it lasts 30 seconds. Pulverize now reduces the damage from the target by 20% for 10 seconds and has a 30-second cooldown. Before, it was reducing damage from all targets by 9% for 20 seconds. With that being said, I hope I managed to cover all class changes for Druid in the Shadowlands pre-patch. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this mini guide, and until next time, I wish you all a PvP day and thank you for watching. Bye bye.